MLB Network analyst Harold Reynolds, couple of All-Stars back in the day, 3 Gold Gloves too. And you guys can watch Harold every night on MLB Tonight. Plus, the network has 3 games today, including the Blue Jays and the Guardians tonight at 6 p.m. How about this? It actually says Indians in the copy. And I very swiftly inserted Guardians with nobody even telling me.
Very well done, BT.
But thank you. But Harold Reynolds did not write the copy because he would have put Guardians in there. Harold, Tiki, and Tierney, buddy, what's happening?
I don't know if I'd have got the Guardians right. I'm still scuffling with that one.
I hear you.
Good move by you, Brandon. Good move.
I appreciate it, brother. We're still conditioning the minds. Well, you may have gotten something right before anybody. Now, you know that I love the network. I watch Quick Pitch in the morning. I love what you guys do at night, the wraparound, right? You said something, I think it was the 3rd or the 4th night, and it was pretty profound. I'm like, all right, it lines up with what I'm seeing, but obviously Harold knows a ton more about the game than me. And you said, I forget the exact way you phrased it, but you said the game is changing right in front of our eyes. I'm like, yeah, I'm seeing guys go to right field more and guys in motion on the bases and some things I haven't seen for a while. What made you say that early in the season? And can you back it up with any numbers, Harold?
I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but just watching the style of play, not as many strikeouts. Guys are putting the ball in play. Not the 3 true outcomes, the strikeout, the home run, the walk. I think guys are starting to swing the bat. But just watching how the rhythm of the game, we're seeing more guys score from first to third. Mm-hmm. And I was watching a lot of Met games. You know, and Buck Showalter, I've been around him a long time, and I knew what he was thinking when he was going to the Mets. That's a transformed team, and it's not by power. They're doing so many different things. And then you look at the Yankees. They're just more athletic. You see the Yankees go first to third now. It's not just, although they're hot and hitting a lot of home runs, that's not the only way they're scoring runs. So just watching, seeing it.
Yeah.
I've stuck my neck out there a little bit, but I think it's happening.
But it's all good. I think a lot of it is about the deadened.
I figured I'd join the family. You know, you guys got the 3 ball guys now.
That's right. Hey, that's right.
Always got room for Baldy, Reynolds.
So Tiki, when did you go to the bald look? When did you know? I was like, hey, I'm just
2021. I was young. I mean, I think I just
that
left
early?
college.
That's tough, Harold. 21.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I was.
That's tough.
I think it was part. Just
Lucky's good looking.
Just the style of the day, kind of ish. Michael Jordan. I don't know. Harold, you talk about the Mets real quickly, and it's important to acknowledge how well they've maintained their starting rotation without Jacob deGrom. I mean, when this first happened, I don't say it was dire, but it was, man, there's so many questions. What's Carrasco going to be like? Who's this kid, Tyler McGill?
Walker.
Right, Walker, who had injuries.
Yeah.
Like, you chalk this up to, I mean, maybe it's a little bit of luck, finding the right guys, but you can't talk enough about how well the Mets managed what could have been a dire situation for them with their starting rotation.
No, they've done a great job. The one thing they're doing too is they've stuck to a plan. I go back to the doubleheader that McGill and Scherzer pitched in both games. Mm-hmm. Usually, when you have a rainout like that, you're going to throw Max, and then you move McGill, who was throwing the ball great, to a 6-day rotation, and they decided to go throw both those guys that same day. So I think the difference is they have a plan. Clearly, you look at numbers and data and all that, but I think you got to have a feel for what's going on. And they're pitching so well early that you don't want to mess up the starting rotation like we're talking about. So they had that foundation laid. And really, at this point in time of the year, with the short spring training for 3 weeks, if you can get your starting pitching lined up and they can give you something out of the gate, they're going to dominate hitters early. You can get 5-6 innings, that is just a bonus. And I think that's what the Mets have done, and they've been able to cover deGrom during this period of time.
Mm-hmm. So we're talking to Harold Reynolds. Harold, of course, former player and a good one back in the day. MLB Network analyst with us here on the Fan, Tiki and Tierney. Let's face it, I know what you guys do on TV, and we know what we hear, what we follow, what we read, what we try to deduce. And I'm talking about deGrom here. Guys like Plesac, behind the scenes, when you guys go off camera, so I guess I'm asking you to basically, I don't want to say off the record, but what is the word inside of your building where you got a bunch of former big league players? Are you guys really expecting DeGrom back soon? Like, what is the internal belief with DeGrom's future this season?
I don't think he's back till July. June, July. You want to have him lined up for that second half. They'd like to get him back earlier. I guess he's starting to get that point. But for me, if you can maintain what they're doing and hang tight, and then I got him and Scherzer down the stretch, I'm not rushing him. This is all a bonus. They're playing with house money right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're out the gate great. They're in first place. They're ahead of everybody. House money, and that gives me more time to let Jacob get right. So I'm concerned. When you start the season on the IL or the DL, it used to be, I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think you got to look at a half a season out of him would be money.
Yeah, I guess right now you sign up for that. I got you. It looked as if early on Lindor, I want to get a quick thought on this in terms of the bat speed, things that you see with video with Lindor, maybe things that we don't catch right away. We know what his numbers are, and he's got a little chilly after a pretty good start. Let's face it, if this continues for a couple of weeks, I know you booted a ball the other day. I know the Mets are winning. Mets are going to be good this year, but he did not have a good first year with the Mets in New York and on and off the field. So where is he athletically? Is he still the same guy? Because he's a little funk right now. What's the story with Lindor, Harold?
Yeah, I think he's the same guy. Look, I'm gonna go real strong belief in this because it happened with me, and I'm sure Tiki can identify this too. Don't tell me a manager or a coach doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a great manager or a great coach or somebody, it changes everything. Buck Showalter has changed Francisco Lindor's outlook. And I think because Buck's managed so long, he's been in New York, one of the short managers in New York, by the way. He wasn't on the big tall list. But he's managed in New York all these years. And the first thing he said when he finally got a chance to sit down with Francisco after the lockout, and they were down in spring training, he said, "You play baseball. I got everything else. You go out and play shortstop. I'll handle the media. I'll handle New York City for you. Concentrate on being the shortstop." He said, "Look, you spent last year trying to prove your contract, trying to hit home runs. It's not who you are. Go back to being who you were. Move the ball, put the ball in play, bunt, play defense. I'll handle the rest." And that's what we're seeing. And so when he got hit by that pitch in Washington in the face on that bunt, who was the first guy out there yelling and screaming?
That was Buck.
That was Buck. And after the game, I'm letting you behind the door a little bit.
Nice.
Francisco went into Buck's office and he said, "I've never had anybody stand up for me like that."
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And when you have a guy like that in your corner, if you watch closely in the Met games, I've been watching from a distance. Every time after a game, Francisco's talking to Buck about situations. They're sitting there talking on the dugout. I'm like, "So what are you talking about?" He goes, "He's the most curious player I've ever been around. He wants to know why I made a move. What was I thinking?" He's never had that opening to do that. And I think it's changed his whole outlook.
That's good stuff
Yeah.
right
Well,
there, Harold. That's
yeah,
good.
No, that is. Let me flip over the Yankees real quick, in particular Aaron Judge. He's mashing. Obviously, he's leading the league in runs and home runs, I believe. Maybe it changed last night, but whatever. He's up there at the top. And he turned down this contract, and we know it was fair. Put that in quotes. It's a fair offer, but there hasn't been any appreciation from the top-end contracts in a while, right? So is he justified in holding out for what he thinks he'll get in free agency and being that loyal guy? He's never been paid, Harold. You know this. He's made $17 million in 7 years, right? He owes it to himself. What do you think is going to happen post-2022 season with Aaron Judge?
Well, it's an interesting dynamic because here's where the numbers in baseball play more than ever before. It is in contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Because what the sabermetric numbers are showing you, and they're fairly or justly throwing guys in a category based on their age. We see a decline at this particular age, and they throw everybody in that basket. And so for Aaron to turn this money down, the real challenge for me is to be 31 next April. And when it comes to negotiations, you look back at Harper, Machado, Lindor, whoever got the big money, they were 25, 26, 27, right in that range.
Yeah.
When you get to 30, clubs are figuring out, guys start to drop off. I'm not paying for that. You're not seeing the Albert Pujols contract anymore for somebody 31, 32. So that's the challenge. Does he deserve a big contract? Has he been there a long time? The Yankees, Absolutely. I think we can all agree on that. I did think it was a fair offer. He's gambling on himself, but how much of a gamble is it? For 20 more million? I don't see it being a $300 million contract. So I don't see this at the end of the year. I know he has a mandate. I'm not talking during the season. I just don't see where this doesn't get done during the year.
No, I'm with you. He's staying in the Bronx. I totally agree with that. Harold, final thing, only about 30, 40 seconds, maybe a little more if you can, if you have to.
Okay.
Spent a lot of time on Boone, obviously went nuts last night. I love it. It's an old school interaction with umps. We very rarely get it anymore based on the technology. You touched on the Yankees being more athletic this year. That's obvious. The lineup is more circular. That's obvious. So Cashman did a better job this offseason, and he needed to.
Yeah.
But pertaining to Boone, I want your scouting report on what he does, his value. I'm a Boone fan, probably more than most. What do you see?
Well, I think we're starting to really see Aaron now. Last night was an indication of a different Aaron Boone. He didn't snap like that before. I think he's moved from the broadcaster. He's moved from everything else to the baseball player again. But more importantly, I think he's unshackled. For the last 3 years, he's got a lot of orders from the front office. We're taking this guy out. This is what you're doing. This is the move you're making. I think we're starting to see Aaron Boone have his footprint and his fingerprints on this team now as he feels asserted. I don't think he comes back to take this contract to come back to the Yankees if he doesn't sit there and have a meeting like, okay, it's time for me to have my input. I've done it your way. I've listened to all these things. I got to be Aaron Boone. I think we're going to see more Aaron Boone. I think you'll see a better manager because of it.
So the Yankees, obviously, if that's the case, and, I have no reason not to believe you clearly piped in. The Yankees obviously consented. I don't know if it's a demand, but certainly an edict from Boone, which is great. I wonder if Cashman and how, but specific to Cashman, would have consented if he wasn't on such shaky ice. I mean, he didn't really have two legs to stand on after the roster the last couple of years. Let's be honest.
I think the only people that think Cashman's on the hot seat is everybody else. He never feels like he's on the hot seat.
But do you think do you think before this year it was fair to say that it was time to evaluate his job? I do.
Oh, I think that's fair.
Okay.
I think it's fair, and I think Brian would tell you that too.
Okay.
But here's the thing with Boone and Cashman. I think they both know if I leave here, I got 20 teams that are going to want me.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that Cashman's not going to get a job immediately.
But it's not the
Aaron
Yankees.
Boone wouldn't have either.
But it's not the Yankees. But it's not the Yankees.
But it's baseball.
Yeah.
I got
There's
you.
only 30 of those GM jobs.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys are winning World Series outside of the Yankees.
That's true. It's been a
just
while.
saying.
It's been a while. Dude,
It's
really.
been a while.
Too long. Love hooking up with you, man. Really, really good conversation. Harold
You're
Reynolds.
so New York, man. I love that.
Thank you,
You're
Harold.
so New
It's
York.
the best, dude. Thanks, man. Appreciate
Hey,
you.
my boy Kayvon Thibodeau.
There you
Hey.
go.
Giants.
Giants should have gotten a cornerback. I'm just kidding. I'm
They
just
were
kidding.
taken.
Kind of.
The Jets took him.
We
But
took
was
the
there
one.
a quarterback in this draft to get, though? Really?
No, corner.
You want
C,
Kenny
corner.
Pickett?
Corner.
Not
Oh,
QB.
cornerback.
DB.
They'll get the quarterback next year when they
Yeah.
dump Danny. All right, Reynolds. We'll talk football another time. We got to bounce.
Appreciate
Thank you
it, guys.
very
Thank
much.
you for having me on.
See you, Harold.
He's the best, man. There's a lot to react to there. He said some things that a lot of people don't know, including us. I mean, reveal the...